name's Karl. I'm 19 years old. I study youth work at CHC. What else? Love footy. Love the Broncos. Broncos, if you ever watch this, if you need a fullback, because Darius Boyd got injured, I'm available. Just started running again, so sign me up. I'm ready to go. Today I'm pretty much here to tell you my testimony of how I came to know Jesus and pretty well how he's changed my life. So I grew up in a non-Christian family. My parents are not Christians. They're not even religious. My mum is sort of spiritual. She sort of believes in the universe and kind of spiritual things like that, but no real definitive God. But my dad is really closed off to the idea of religion. He hates it, and he reckons it's stupid and is why bother? It's you can't really be sure anyway. So why do it? And he just doesn't really see the point to it. Sort of growing up, I had a bit more of my mum's view of the world. I was sort of more spiritual without being, definitive about what I believe in. More sort of believing everything happens for a reason and, stuff like that. And I didn't really have any interest to know Jesus at all. I didn't really feel like I needed him in my life. I felt like I was travelling pretty well without him, and just sort of didn't really feel that there was a place in my heart for him. Growing up was not too bad. I've got two little sisters, so Anna and Libby, both younger than me, and I love them heaps, and growing up with them was pretty awesome. It wasn't all too crash hot. My parents had a lot of marriage troubles, and when I was about probably grade 6, they divorced. And one of the main reasons for that was my dad's obsession with alcohol. He was an alcoholic, and he'd just come home after work sometimes and just get drunk, and was pretty well abusive to both myself and my mum and my sisters. And it was really, really tough to grow up with. Sort of growing up in that environment, that's because of that stuff with my dad. I really grew close with my mum. She's a very strong woman for a non-Christian, and I think that's probably why I adopted some of her beliefs. Was just because I spent a lot of time with her, and she was the parent that I was closer with. Even through some of that stuff, I didn't really see a need for Jesus. How could he change my life? And I wasn't really interested, to be honest. Going through primary school, one of my best mates from primary school, his family were Christians. So sometimes I'd go over to their house, and I'd stay their night on a Saturday and go to church with them on the Sunday just because they were going. But I wasn't actively seeking Christ. It wasn't me doing it. I was just going because they were going. And sort of as a lifestyle, oh yeah, cool, they're Christians. They just believe this and this and this, and that's fine for them. I mean, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I had no real need to change. I thought I was doing pretty alright all by myself. Sort of that went on for quite a while. And then, during that divorce time, so from about grade 6 till grade 8, even though they'd split up, there was sort of a whole sort of court custody thing about trying to work out where myself and my sisters would live. And my dad wanted full custody of us, and we didn't really want that because we just didn't feel safe around him. And obviously he still had those troubles with alcohol, and I don't think anyone with those sorts of problems should be fit to look after kids. During those that 2 years from that grade 6 to grade 8, when all that stuff was going on, made the transition from primary school to high school, and luckily, even though all that stuff was going on at home, it never really affected my schooling or my sport. I was still doing pretty well at both. And yeah, I had some pretty good friends. Another one from the same church that my mate from primary school went to. In about grade 9, he invited me along to go to the church's youth group. And he sort of told me about it, and I'm like, oh cool, go along and play some tackle footy and stuff. Like, this will be great. I'll go along, play the games, but I'll just sort of sit through the religious talk. Like, I've been to church a few times, kind of heard what this is about, don't really want much to do with it. So, that was pretty cool. Loved going to youth group. And attended that for 4 years or so. It's a long time when you think about it. But 4 years, and not a lot changed in that 4 years. I pretty much just lived life. End of year 12 rolled around, and it was sort of the talk of schoolies, like what's everyone doing for schoolies, and literally 95% of my grade were all going down to the Gold Coast, and basically because I'd seen the effect that alcohol can have on people firsthand throughout my life, I was just like, I didn't want anything to do with that at all. I heard about the atmosphere down at the Gold Coast and how it was just, alcohol, drugs, party central, and I just didn't want anything to do with that at all. And then I was pretty much going to do nothing for schoolies. I was probably just going to stay home and sleep or something. Not do a whole lot was probably what I was going to do. Until the same friend that invited me to youth group, he was like, oh, you should come with me on SU schoolies. I'm like, okay, cool, what's an SU schoolies? And basically, he explained what it was, and an SU schoolies is run by an organisation called SU, who are a Christian organisation, and basically, it's a week-long schoolies, run at the same time as the Gold Coast schoolies, but it's no drugs, no alcohol, nothing like that, and it's run at the Sunshine Coast. And basically throughout that week you do sort of fun activities where you can actually remember the time you had on schoolies, like I did go-karting and paintball and tubing and super fun stuff like that. And he explained it to me and I was like, oh yeah, this sounds awesome. This is way better than the Gold Coast. I don't want anything to do with that. And then he sort of said, yeah, it's also a Christian thing. I'm like, oh, righto, I've sort of heard all this stuff before, I'll just go along and sit through the talks and all the Christian stuff, I've heard this all before, I'll be right. But God had different plans for that camp. So pretty well rock up, and the first few days are pretty fun and doing all these activities and having a great time. And then at night they have the talk is called Pluggers. Which is where they have a speaker throughout the whole week, and every night he talks on a different topic of Christianity. And sort of for the first 3 or 4 nights, I was just sitting there and didn't really engage with the talk at all. Sort of like, this doesn't really apply to me. I don't feel like I need this still. I just want to go and shoot people in the face with a paintball. Like, I didn't have that will to know more. And then the fifth night, the last night, the speaker got up and he talked about the cross. The topic was the cross and what Jesus came to do on the cross. And I'd heard bits and pieces of this before, but never really explained in the way he explained. And he told this story. It was a true story. It was about back in times of Nazi Germany, where they held these concentration camps, and all these captives, all these people who were stuck in this jail, every single day, the captain or the head honcho, whoever he was, he'd go up and he'd pick 10 randoms out of the crowd, and they would just be shot and they would die. They didn't have any say in it. It was just cruel. And so this one day, the bloke went up and he selected the 10, and they all sort of stood up in the crowd of however many hundred of people there were. And then this one guy stood up, and then he was selected. He stood up, and then he just fell to his knees and just started crying. He was like, please, 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 don't kill me. I have a wife and a family on the outside. I want to be able to leave and see my children again. Please keep me alive. and this bloke was like, "Sorry, champion, you're gonna die." He probably didn't say "sorry, champion." He probably, said it in a German accent or something like that. But anyway, he was one of these 10 selected, and they were just going to shoot him on the spot, and then this one guy, just this one random, he wasn't one of the 10 selected. He stood up and he was like, "Yeah, I'll die for you. I'll die instead. Can you kill me instead? Let this man go." And yeah, he took his place. He went out the front. He was one of the 10 shot, and he died instead of that man. The bloke who was originally chosen, he gets out eventually. He breaks out of the camp. He goes home to his family, gets to see his wife and his kids again, and to this day he praises that guy. He's like, "Without him, I wouldn't be alive." And after he finished telling that story, the speaker was like, "This is exactly what Jesus has done for you. Jesus has died in your place. Jesus has taken this pain. He's taken all your sin away so that you can have life, so you can live." And at that moment, everything just clicked. Like, everything just made sense. And I'm like, I want this. I need this. I need this relationship with Jesus. I want this forgiveness. I want this change. And then, sort of at the end, the speaker was like, "Anyone who wants to sort of stay around and talk about this more, feel free." So everyone else, the 150 odd schoolies, everyone else sort of left and went to the night activity. There was about 3 or 4 of us that stayed behind, and I just went up and started talking to the guy, just pretty much opened my heart. After about a minute, just started bawling my eyes out. I was just crying. I just need this forgiveness. I need this love. I need a relationship with Jesus. And he sort of showed me how to pray the prayer to accept Christ into my heart. I did that, and it was amazing. Like, words cannot describe that feeling ever. It was the greatest moment of my life, and it will be the greatest moment of my life forever. It was just, it was so awesome. It was crazy. That was the last night, so there was no more talks, and it was pretty much just like, it was the Holy Spirit. There was nothing, couldn't have been anything else other than the Holy Spirit going, this is the time, this is why you're here. Sort of that was it. That was the point where I went from being dead to being alive. SU schoolies finished and went home, and honestly I was terrified to tell my mum about me becoming a Christian. I had no idea how she would react. So I had to read my Bible occasionally, and it was just stagnant. I just didn't do anything with my faith, because from the end of schoolies to the beginning of uni is like a 3 or 4 month gap. So in that time I just was lazy. I did nothing. I had this amazing transformation inside, and there was no fruit. There was nothing from it at all. I had no one there really to sort of show me how to live a Christian life. Like, no one my age that I knew of were Christians. Like, it was, nobody in Laidley really was my age and actively living out their faith. And then we were down the Gold Coast. We were at the Gold Coast, and my family and the Luck family. I knew Danny Luck from doing little athletics and touch and stuff, like from when we were little, and we used to go to youth group together. But I didn't really know Andrew at all. So we were up there at the same time, and I was just sort of hanging out with Danny, and I can't remember what we were doing, but we were just hanging out. And then Andrew sort of come up to me because I went to school with Andrew and weren't really friends with him at all, and sort of he invited me along to this group called Student Life. He invited me along to a Pulse, which is just a gathering sort of over the holidays where the group can meet. he sort of invited me along. He's like, a bunch of great people, come along, meet some new friends before starting uni. And I'm like, oh yeah, alright, doesn't sound too bad. So went along and basically explained it was a Christian group on campus, and met some awesome people, met the best people I've ever met, met some lifelong friends through student life, and from that point on, I started actively living my faith. I started out uni at UQ, so Andrew was at UQ, which was lucky enough, and started getting involved there, and was sort of still pretty passive in my faith. I was really nervous about going out and telling people about this transformation in my life. Like, people aren't going to want to listen to what happened to me. Like, people aren't going to care about the gospel. People aren't going to care about how my life's been changed by Jesus. They're just going to sort of brush it off and not really worry about it. But completely wrong. Like, doing salt hours at uni and just being involved with a core group of Christians, and through other things like discipleship, that really helped to solidify my faith. Sort of the transformation in the 12 months from becoming a Christian on schoolies to going down to the Gold Coast, being a street chaplain and telling all these schoolies about the gospel was amazing. Just all aspects of my life has been changed from becoming a Christian. Like, I've found purpose in life. I know what my life means. It's to have a relationship with Christ and to live for Him. It's just indescribable, really. Like, I don't really know. Words will never do it justice. It's just awesome. Yeah, and like, I look back on my life and all those experiences with my dad and stuff, and before becoming a Christian, I'd sort of go, it's made me a stronger person, and it's taught me stuff like how not to be a father to my children, and like those things are true, but it's not the overarching reason. Like, I can see how God used that to bring me to Him. Like, without going through those things as a kid and growing up, like, I may never have gone on SU schoolies. I may have gone to the Gold Coast. I may never have heard the gospel. I may never have become a Christian. And I definitely wouldn't be sitting here today talking about how my life has been changed by Jesus. And that's it ultimately. Like, and I don't know. I just think that God uses everything for His glory, and even though in the hard times He uses it for our benefit. Like, all those things molded me into the person I am today, and God knows what's best for me, what's best for my life, and I'm willing to put my trust in an all-knowing God that He's pretty on top of what's happening, rather than in temporary things like achievement in sport, temporary highs and stuff like that. But it's just, I just really like to share my favourite Bible verse, and it's 2 Corinthians 4:16-18, which basically says, therefore we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light momentary troubles are achieving for us a glory which far outweighs anything that this world can give us. So fix our eyes on not what is seen, but what is unseen, because what is seen is temporary and what is unseen is eternal. And that's it. Like, everything eventually is going to go. At the end, what are you going to be left with? Nothing. But if you have Jesus, if you know Jesus, if you have a relationship with Him, in the end you will have everything. That's it's pretty well the gospel summed up a little bit. God's good. Do we do like a little dance to add to the bloopers route? Like,
go wait till the plane goes.
Is it still going?
actually might have a blizzard thing at the end.
Oh no.
It's good.
Yeah, that'll be good. It's alright.
It'll add to the...
Yeah, this is my testimony. This captures
yeah,
me.
Bleep is real. Your testimony is bleep is real.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
kidding.
No, cool.
That was recording it. Right.
J-Hop's the ultimate encourager. Cool, so just go.
Yeah.